Call this to order. Meeting of the election board. Any visitors or remarks concerning the agenda items?
I have a question on that. When was the curing process put on hold? Because the last meeting you guys had said the curing process was suspended. When was it suspended?
Don't have the date.
It would have been, I think, about a week prior to when I called for the special meeting, right?
It was quite a week.
Or maybe it was a few days
It was just
before.
a few days, correct.
And that was done in a public meeting?
So that would have been, okay, that's my understanding.
It was, John, did you recall the date? It was a day shortly after the RNC, that the decision came from the RNC.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head the exact date, you know, I know
It was mid-October.
yeah, I was,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I just don't remember it from the meeting. I must have missed the meeting. Okay.
Well, our election board meetings don't always coincide with our commissioners.
Right, that's why I said I must have missed it. Okay.
All right. Consider approving the minutes of the October 16th meeting. So moved.
Second, and this is for the special meeting that was held, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Floor is yours, provisional ballots.
Do you want to do it the way that we typically do it?
Yes.
And I need an executive session. Do you want that before or after? The rest of them. The vast majority of them are cut and dry. There's a few that I want to discuss with you first, before any decisions are made.
And with our solicitor as well.
Yes.
Yep.
And Amber as well.
So,
Will it take a long time?
I guess just a few moments.
Okay. Why don't we do it now?
so we're moving into executive
Yep.
session for purposes of receiving advice from legal counsel. We're gonna go, you guys can stay.
We're gonna let you stay nice and comfortable. No inconvenience to you, Judge.
Good to see you too. I will.
Go ahead.
224.
Yes, well, I'm sorry.
Want these on this side?
I
That
do,
side?
right here, it works, thank you.
All right, we are out of executive session, so we will continue.
Do you want to go through them individually, or do you want to just move them as
Groups.
Based on classification groups.
correct? There's a lot of them, they're really tight. So I have 70 that were actually registered in time. Their applications were in our office by the deadline. I told our poll book vendor the deadline of the 21st. Our SURE system, as long as I can, I don't want to say backdate, but I can backdate the applications so that were received, I can process them by, to allow us to count them. These were here in time, so we processed them because of the volume of the mail-in ballots and the voter registration.
So they were registered in time.
They were, we had the applications in time, we did not process the applications until the next day and the following. So they should be, I'm asking you to count on
Yeah,
them,
because
because they should have been in the full
They did everything in good faith.
Correct,
Okay.
within anything that they did.
All right.
And I have sent it to our poll book vendor, and we have a solution
All right.
of that, which is just putting the date.
I make a
will entertain
motion.
a motion.
I make a motion to accept those provisional ballots as explained by Ms. Smith-Ford.
Thank you.
Second. All right, we have a motion.
Just as pointing, the next day, I assume that would have been too late then. Is that
If
right?
they registered,
If
yes.
they registered.
But they were already,
Right at the cusp of the changes.
the voters had their information to us. So anything that we received the next day, whether it was electronically or by mail or the counter, is in order, waiting for us to process.
I just want to,
Yeah, well,
kind of slow.
that's okay.
No, he's
I
not.
don't think
No.
you are, but.
No, he's not. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I have 29 provisionals where the individuals applied for a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot. They did not return it to us, nor did they surrender their mail-in or absentee to the polling place. So their only legal option would be to vote provisionally,
So
which
there's
is what they did.
29 of those.
29.
And you recommend?
I recommend that you count them.
Motion to accept those ballots as explained by Ms. Smithcore.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept those provisional ballots. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I have 49 where they are registered within Bradford County, but they are registered within one precinct and voted in another. So the only way that it would affect, the only race that it would affect, should you choose to count them,
State
would be
representative.
the House. Incorrect.
Right.
My recommendation would be to do a partial count, so count every other race, because they
The
are
statewide
registered.
races.
The statewide, and then look at where the ballot, individually, I'll have to individually look at them when we count them, just perhaps I didn't even vote that race, honestly.
So if I can ask a question of our solicitor, so how would we, if we were so inclined to accept those, how would you propose framing it?
So that you would basically partially accept them, where all of the statewide races would be counted, but any races in which they didn't live in that precinct would not be counted. Any votes that were related specifically to that local precinct would not be counted.
And in this case, it's just the state representative race.
I'm just, again, I'm trying to think of the way to frame the motion.
So I guess I would say to,
Count all statewide races
Count- yeah, I
on
would
these
say-
provisional ballots.
to
Well,
partially,
in federal races too.
Well,
Federal,
statewide race, but yeah.
and
Federal and statewide races.
And you could state that you were just not counting any local races to that precinct, or any races solely related.
I'm gonna try this and you tell me if I did it wrong, okay? I make a motion to accept the votes cast on the ballots as described by Ms. Smithcore as to federal races and state races, and as to such state races, only accepting the votes as to those state representative races in which the precinct at which the vote was cast and the precinct at which the individual lives are different.
I think that covers it.
Okay, I'll second that. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
But I need to go back, actually, I misunderstood the note on the last batch, the 29 that we voted on, or you voted on. They were individuals who applied for a mail-in ballot, and but we did not allow them to be cured. The ballots were canceled. So it wasn't that I misspoke there, I apologize, I read the note wrong.
It's that the ballots were canceled.
Right. So
They went to the wrong precinct.
No, at that time, that was done.
Okay.
This was the
So
last one where I
that was the
said,
29.
correct.
We agreed to do that anyway.
Well, I think to be clear, we should have a separate motion to essentially accept those 29 for the reasons stated by Ms. Smithcore, essentially a curative of our prior acceptance of those ballots. That's my motion.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Any
apologize.
opposed? All right, motion carries.
I have 114 provisionals that are either not registered, no. I have 114, I apologize. These are the mail-in ballots that were issued but not returned, nor were they surrendered. Again, they applied, they did not vote. Their only option is to vote provisionally because they did not surrender at the polling place.
Because at the polling place, the poll book shows that the individual has applied for a mail-in or
Correct.
absentee ballot.
Correct.
And so these are the individuals who, again, they neither surrendered their ballot nor returned the ballot, the mail-in ballot.
Yeah,
And so therefore, their only option day of was provisional.
correct.
I make a motion to accept that 114 votes.
So there was no chance they voted twice?
No, that's what took us so long. We reviewed our records.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I have 94 that were either registered previously, are not registered, or are registered in other counties within the Commonwealth.
And
I'll make a
so,
motion to reject those.
so it's a motion to reject. I second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
They were not accepted?
No,
They were rejected.
they were
Yes,
rejected.
okay. That's what I
Affirmatively
was saying.
rejected.
Because they're not here.
I missed it. Yeah, thank you.
I have 5 provisionals here that they were flagged for ID in one place and they did not provide ID. So their only option is to vote provisionally and show us a form of ID within 6 days. I have emailed all of them and I followed up with mail as well.
So the action we need to take is to take action that if they do present.
Pending provision of adequate.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's a motion to accept them conditioned upon their satisfactory provision of ID to your office.
Proper ID, correct.
By what date?
By Tuesday, the 16th, I think it
Okay.
is. No, 12th. I told them to do 12th,
Okay,
the next Tuesday.
by then. Okay, so that's my motion.
That's by the 12th.
So I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So you can't count all the provisionals until they come in until next Tuesday?
We will we'll begin counting the ones that you have approved tomorrow, and we're not gonna get everything done tomorrow. So if we have ID, we'll pick up on Tuesday on these individuals.
But that ID is going to have to be verified.
No, that's what I mean, conditioned
Right.
upon.
Exactly, yes.
That's, I think the motion was, it was conditioned upon her adequate provision of her
Verifiable
office.
ID.
So do you need us to verify the ID or you gonna verify it?
I'm going to.
That your question is that we would find.
I wonder if it came back here.
I think that's an administrative function that's delegated to Ms. Smith Forrest.
John, did you agree with that?
I would agree with
Okay.
Provisional.
Okay. The matter of my Fox Township, do we need to discuss that publicly?
I would say that.
Okay.
That's okay, Jonathan.
Okay. This young lady provided, she went to vote on the scanner and it rejected her ballot as it should because she did not make any selections. They provided me with her ballot. So when they scan it in, the poll worker is supposed to go over and ask them if they want to validate or ignore. And they didn't do that. They spoiled it instead and allowed her to vote provisionally.
Make a motion to accept the provisional ballot as described by Ms. Smith Forrest.
So she voted on the machine in good faith. and didn't vote for anybody?
That happens often.
Okay, so I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
To clarify, I don't want to say like, there's hundreds of them.
It's happening time to
It does,
time.
yes.
And that may be done by an individual who seeks to have their voting record show that they continuously voted,
Correct.
even if they don't necessarily agree with any of the candidates and want to cast a
That was
ballot.
a lady up in Wanda that did that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we we've even seen.
Just for the record, so people understand that there's a very reasonable explanation for this. This is not something untoward. There's a reason why somebody would do it, and it's for voting record continuity.
There were Hall of Fame status, correct. This young lady marked on her form that she wished to vote on a paper ballot due to computer anxiety.
I'm okay with that. I'll make that motion and second that.
I'll second it for purposes of discussion. I guess turn to our solicitor. Do you see any problem with accepting that? I mean, in other words, if that's the basis that's given, I'm hesitant to open the door to people. Currently, I mean, if that's going to be used as the reason, any number of individuals could do it. Like, so I'm a little hesitant to set a precedent.
If they had a mental health issue or something like that and had anxiety.
Can I notate she has an email address and she's also emailed me previously? I mean, that's unrelated, but I just want to notate that.
So you don't see any problem with doing this?
I don't see any problem. It's basically an accommodation to a voter, and the provisional really is supposed to be your safeguard as your last
So
resort.
on the basis of that being what I understand and you understood from the poll worker was the basis for why it was notated as such? Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second on that. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I have two provisionals. We'll start with the first one. This person is registered within the district, voted in the correct precinct, but he was unable to vote on election day because somebody signed in under his name.
I'm sorry, it was signed.
Somebody signed in under the voter's name.
So just for purposes of moving the discussion forward, I'll move to accept the provisional ballot as described by Ms. Smith-Force.
I'll second it.
So-
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So this is a situation where there was nothing on the part of the voter himself, what I'll call the second to the polls. He did everything right,
Correct.
as far as you know.
Correct.
And
In
it's
good faith.
in good faith, thank you. And it was just whatever the actions of the first person to get to the polls in this situation, who maybe it was erroneous, maybe it was intentional, we don't know. I mean, in other words, we could have the county detective look into that if we so wished, but as for this, we're here today on a provisional ballot for a voter who, as far as you know, cast a ballot in good faith.
Correct.
I think we should have the county detective.
Right.
Yeah.
So for this, actually, both, the situation happened on both of these. So
Okay.
can I, to clarify, you're making a motion to allow me to accept these two?
And so both, you're saying
That's the motion on the floor right now.
for both of them, where the situation was somebody else signed on behalf of the voter, but the real voter showed up later to cast a vote and therefore had to cast a provisional.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. I understand so the motion is for us to vote, right?
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
It's been the most provisional ever done.
No.
We've had over, back when Commissioner Smith was here, we had over 500 of them.
Yeah.
It's not him. He would appreciate that either.
Yeah.
I have two provisionals where they were previously registered in another county. They notified the county that they were transferring here. Said county should have transferred their records because that's what they marked on the papers, to transfer their records here. Instead, said county canceled their registration and did not transfer it.
But the transfer was done in a timely fashion.
It was,
So it's on the county.
correct.
And have we determined whether the other county received votes by those voters?
They were canceled, so they did not.
Okay.
They could not vote in person.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
This one, they voided it out, so there's no decision to be made on their ballot. I have two ballots here that are marked in two different precincts where the eligibility is challenged by the election official. They are both. One, I'm not sure, maybe they misunderstood the process, but the voter is registered in the same precinct. They voted in the correct precinct. They did request a mail-in ballot. It was not received by our office. Therefore, they should, based on your previous votes, should be allowed to cast a
On that
ballot
one particular.
on this one, yes.
Okay.
The second one, they are registered there. The same thing, they're registered there and vote in the same precinct. I'm not sure why they challenged it. There's no notation, nobody followed up with us. And Jonathan, what is the ruling on, we discussed this previously, or I questioned what is the ruling on the voter registration challenge period that had expired, correct?
Yes, the voter registration challenge period had expired prior to election day, as far as that goes. So there's no longer, the time to challenge the registration has passed. So I would recommend that you could accept those as long as you don't identify any other defects with the ballot, as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
I move to accept the two ballots as identified by Ms. Smith-Force.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
There's all of the provisionals that I have. I do have a few other matters I just wanted, for informational purposes only, I have 8 mail-in ballots that the voters needed to provide ID to our office. And they have all been sent letters, and they have until Tuesday.
Right, the 12th. To
Correct.
provide proper ID.
Correct.
And that's not, but assuming they do that, there's no formal action you need from this board to accept it, because by law, they have that period by the ID.
That is my
And if they
understanding.
do, it'll get accounted, and if they don't, it just gets rejected without any further action of our board. Is that right?
That is my understanding, correct.
But thank you for that information.
May I have 4 mail-in ballots that were not counted on the election day that I need to make a decision on, please? I have 2 here that are a date issue that they provided the month, the date, and the year, so it's just not in proper format. So I'm asking how you want to move forward with this.
Can we examine them, please? And I think we should probably take each one separately, because the issue, while it's the same class of issue, each one is slightly different.
Thank you.
So, Jonathan, on the record, do we need to identify the voter, or do we use the ID number to identify which voter we're talking
I
about?
made the ID number is not public knowledge.
Okay, so how would you recommend we say if we accept it or reject it?
The precinct number, which it doesn't matter, but they probably have the different precinct numbers on there. Thank you.
So it's like this
Then
one?
yes, that would be
So it'd be 50-1?
Mhm. And that one's 10.
It was our policy if they get the date not counted, if they got the date right.
So,
Just not in the right order.
So I'll make a motion to accept the mail-in ballot as cast in precinct 50-1, as identified by Ms. Smith-Force.
It's their policy, is it?
In the right order, it's the right Got the date on it.
Okay, well, as long as it's dated right.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye on that one. Right?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to accept the mail-in ballot as identified by Ms. Smith-Forrest from precinct 10-1 for the reasons as specified.
I look at it, it's right.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next mail-in ballot that I would like you to review when we opened it. So the law states it's supposed to be inside the secrecy envelope. We have a secrecy envelope, but the ballot's not in it. So how do you wish to move forward with that?
I'll make a motion to reject, what precinct is that?
40.
I make a motion to reject the mail-in ballot and, as identified from precinct 40.
All right, we have a motion and a second to reject ballot from what district is that?
40.
40. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're rejecting that ballot.
Okay, and then this ballot is also from precinct 10. When we received it through the mail, the outer envelope wasn't sealed. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. But it doesn't appear to be altered in any way.
Secrecy ballot, right?
I just wanted to bring it to,
What precinct is that from?
that's 10 also. I believe if it was altered, we would see, because I had voters who opened the outside envelope and put their secrecy envelope back in, would bring it into us and say, this is what I did, and they taped it, and we just asked them to initial that they actually did that.
It didn't look like this was attempted to be sealed.
But
That came through the mail that way?
It did. I believe there's, look in the front page, I believe there's a postmark on it.
Yep.
There is.
That's fine. That's why I brought it to you.
Yeah, I mean, we only know that he didn't even seal the out in the first one. I could guess that he did seal the secrecy one, right? He could not have.
Correct, it's speculation, yes.
Yeah, I'm making a motion to reject it.
Making a motion to reject. I'll second the motion for purposes of moving it forward.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I can't tell from that whether there's an attempt or I'm not an expert on it. So for all I know, they could have tried or something. So that's just my observation.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that he might not have sealed the secrecy ballot. We only assume he did, right? Or he or she. Well, that's why
I understand.
It's got to be a chain of custody, and the mail-ins are bad enough chain of custody. I don't know that.
Yeah. Call the question.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is the motion to reject.
Okay. Yes. All in favor of rejecting?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And I would like you to please, if you're willing to discuss this right now, at our canvas tomorrow, we are required to do a 2% audit. We have typically used our software to do so.
Before you go into that, so we're all done, all provisional ballots, but we're on
Yes.
something else.
I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you.
Correct. Do we need to make more sure on that?
No.
No.
So from an administrative perspective, just to understand, our current thing is to use the machine count for 2%, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And that's what the law provides for, is a 2% audit?
Correct.
Okay, and so what's your question?
So we have been asked by a group to do a 2% hand count.
Okay, which group?
The RNC.
Okay. And so they're asking for on top of 2%, another 2%, or?
They're just asking for the 2% count to be done by hand.
Okay. In addition, so I'm just trying to understand, are they asking for it to be done electronically and then after, which is what we would have normally done, is what the law specifies, and then they want an opportunity to then do a further hand review? Like, I'm trying to understand, is it a different precinct that we're doing 2% hand on?
So the 2% would be approximately, because we're only looking at election day ballots for that matter.
Correct.
It would be approximately 500. Jonathan, do you recall what exactly the letter said? I apologize, I don't have it with me, but I don't think they're asking for both. I think they're just telling us that we have to do the hand count.
Exactly. That basically, several years ago, there was some federal funding that was provided that triggered a mandatory hand count provision as far as that goes. Bradford County did not accept that money, so we are not under that mandate. And in terms of their letter, I think they're asking for a hand count instead of doing the electronic as far as that goes. In addition, they also did want that higher sample size as far as that's concerned.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Are they asking for 2% and then another 2%, or are they asking like?
I honestly don't recall that. I can pull it up. It's been a while since. See if I email.
Like, I guess what I'm trying to understand is are they asking for the hand to be done as a double check of the same votes, or are they asking for a different 2% of the precincts to be audited?
Jonathan, do you recall? Let me see if I can pull it up.
What's the time difference between the two? Like, how long does a hand count take versus a machine count?
A hand count is it's assuming that there's no human error to begin with. You know, that it'll take several hours, if not longer, to do a hand count.
And if there's a human error, then
you have
it
to start all
double.
over.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
The electronic one that we currently do, a software function that we have, so it's confirming that what our machine read is, we split it on our screen, so it's showing the actual ballot and then how the machine read it, and then we sit there and we all agree. One person reads it aloud and we all say yes, we agree to it. So we're confirming that the system is voting.
So you're doing the paper ballot, showing the scanned copy and the actual printed copy all at the same time.
Correct.
So you're getting a side-by-side comparison of the actual paper ballot, the scanned copy, and what was read by the scanner.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to do that.
So it's a motion to accept the RNC's request? Is that what it, I just want to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And we don't know what the request is yet.
I'm looking, I apologize.
I have it here.
Okay. Would you mind reading that?
2% of total votes. I think what Zach was asking is, it doesn't mean there's 4%, not 2 and 2, it's just 2.
That's what Jonathan was looking to see.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And that's what I would second, is the 2% where you're taking the paper ballot, the scanned copy, and the read copy, and you're comparing all three of them.
So
So you're saying
respectfully,
not a
you're saying
separate-
two separate things. You're saying to do the hand count, and you're saying to continue to do the electronic the way that we're doing.
The paper ballot, you're taking the paper, you're doing a hand count with the paper ballot, the scanned copy, and the printed copy.
But that's different, as I understand it,
Correct.
Renee, from what we currently do, which is the electronic.
Correct. Which is where we're taking, there's that provision that has the one ballot on it. Right there.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jonathan. What does the elections code state is the standard that we have to abide by? Is it that we have to do it electronically, or does it leave it to the discretion of the local elections board?
That it allows you to do it manually, mechanically, or electronic devices of a different type than used in the specific election. So basically, like Renee described, you could do it manually or via computer system.
And so we've done it historically since we've gone to the machines. We've done it electronically every election.
Yes.
Have we ever done an audit separately by hand count?
No, we have not. Since 2019, we have used the software that is in our system, so this ballot will be on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it would show, the other side of the screen would show no selection, in this instance, would be no selection, and you would read the race and then the candidate that was selected.
So you're gonna have two things on the screen. You're gonna have that, and then you're gonna have how it was recorded
Correct.
but you're gonna have both anyway.
And then you can take those ballots, the printed ballots from that precinct, and hand count them to compare.
If you're asking us to do it, then yes, we could.
What's the request?
What's the request?
Well, I should say, the request is more of a demand, and they're incorrect because we didn't receive that federal funding. We don't have to do the mandatory hand count. So I guess I should say they're asking us to do the hand count, but based on that misconception that we have to do that.
An additional 2% hand count or a hand count of just 2%?
Of just 2%.
So they're not asking for gold.
So they're not asking for gold as far as that
Okay,
goes.
so let me clarify between the two here. So Renee, if you were said to do a hand count, what does that look like?
We would have members of both parties there reviewing. So one party would pull up the ballot, and might have, say, one Republican and one Democrat working together and so forth, and we'd have one person show the other one as, for example, if I was a Republican, I would read the candidate, and then I'd have the Democrat look at it and then mark it down. But we would have groups together.
So
And
this
then they
isn't.
will be doing it, and then they can give a total score.
So this isn't just implicating county employees who would have to be doing this. This is calling in the parties, local parties, is that?
I have requested county employees.
But I'm saying representatives from both parties you would want to have there. Is that right?
We have that, we will have representatives from both parties.
There
as
are-
county employees.
Oh,
So we have
I see what you mean.
Republican
I see what you
and
mean.
Democratic
Yep, I
employees.
misunderstood what you were saying. Okay.
But what you were asking was you were looking at electronically and at the.
Well, what I'm asking for is you take whatever 2% they're gonna do with the machine. Take that 2% do with the machines, and then take that same 2% and hand count that 2%. Hand count it.
And just to verify, that would probably take 8+ hours?
It would take, it depends.
If there are no mistakes.
If there are no mistakes, it would take.
What it
Where
does
the
is
other-
authenticate the hand count versus the machine count, and are they the same?
So the hand count would take much longer than
Right.
our current practice.
But if I'm understanding you, literally the piece of paper that you're going to have in front of you is literally the same thing as is shown on the screen. Well,
And we're verifying that the machine read it properly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any
So this
point of
one, you
doing
want to do them both?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
so it's a motion, just so I understand, it's a motion to do what we currently do, but also have the paper, then after you go through that, have the paper and compare it as well.
Yes.
Of the same.
Same precincts, yes.
Yes, same ballots. So we would double check the machine count and the
The scan count, the machine count, the printed, the scanned, and the actual paper.
So this is, okay, so was there a motion and a second? Are we in discussion?
I lost track.
There was a
There was a
motion, there
motion.
was
There's a
not a second.
motion by Doug.
All right.
No, there was a
Because
motion by
I second
Darrell.
what- Are you motioning what I?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're seconding,
All right.
so we're in discussion.
All right. Now I second what I,
What you, okay,
you following all this?
I got you.
Yeah. It's like a tennis match.
So, okay, so we're in discussion. Yeah, my kids, I've read a book called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and I feel like that's where we're going with this. And I would say that regardless of which party was asking, so I want to be clear on the record, I don't care. I'd say the same thing if it was my party asking for it. We have one, we do, We've been doing it, it's been successful, nobody's challenged our results in the 5 years plus that we've done this. I don't see the efficacy or the need to do this, so that's just my feeling.
And I understand that, and I'm gonna share this. The one thing that we've gotta do as a society is reinstill confidence in the systems that we use to elect our public officials, all up and down the spectrum.
And I will say this.
And my thing is, because there's all the concern about all the different papers, scanners, whatever, printers, and you're gonna have the printed copy, the scanned copy, and the photocopy of the scanned copy. You're gonna have all three of them, and I'm not saying at the same time, but you're gonna take those precincts and compare the actual ballots in the box with what was printed, or what was read, and what was...
May I say I'm concerned about the time frame that our municipal representative will be here. He's only here tomorrow, and this request is going to take a lot longer than our typical day of canvas, just so you are aware.
And in response to Commissioner Miller's, I would say part of the concern that I have is issues that people have about election integrity, okay? There's a lot of bootstrapping going on. For some people, not everybody, but for some people, of alleging there's a problem, saying it again and again, getting people to buy into that, and then say, well, there's a lot of concern in the public that there's a problem, and then using that as a springboard to justify things. So respectfully, I mean, there's another side of the story here.
Well, for the record, I have not been contacted by the RMC, nor did I know about it until today. I got a motion on the floor.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Is that it?
All that I have.
All right. Visitors' remarks?
I'd like to get some clarification. You said that there were two where someone signed in before the actual voter arrived. So what happened to the first person? Did they vote?
They did. So in most scenarios, situations that we have, it was a father and son with the same name. So when on election day, when they go in you provide your name, the poll worker shows the screen, flips the poll book to you, and theoretically the poll worker or the voter should be confirming your name, their address, their information is correct, their date of birth. In this situation, the voter didn't specify I'm a junior, senior, whatever, and the date of birth. They just said my name is X and signed it.
So they were both actually valid votes, right? No. One wasn't registered?
Correct.
Okay. So that was rectified so that the proper person who registered cast the provisional.
Yes.
Okay.
So theoretically, the father, let's pretend the father wasn't registered. He came in, he voted using his son's name. And then the son came in to vote who is registered. He wasn't able to vote, and he cast a provisional.
That is correct.
Okay.
And these are things that the county detected if we feel we
Correct.
undertake an investigation. Okay.
I would like to verify, hold on, the mail canceled cured ones. So you're counting the ones that would typically normally have been cured, but they cast, they couldn't cure anymore, so they cast a provisional, and you're accepting the provisional.
And I believe, Renee, that's consistent with the policy that was adopted at our October
Yes.
16th meeting,
Correct.
and the Supreme Court.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're following the law.
Yep.
Correct.
Is there any way we can know anything about the Wysox Township thing?
That we're turning over to the...
It's a matter that we're turning over, Jonathan, I don't know, that we're turning over to our county detective.
I mean, can you talk about using a name?
Yeah,
I'm okay with
I
that.
think you could just talk about it in general terms.
Sure.
Basically, you just had an incident at a polling location.
Correct. So we had an incident where a voter said that when they went to sign in, that the voter had already voted. And the voter got belligerent with our poll workers and I pulled the information from the election day and somebody did sign in. Whether it was said voter or not, I don't know. But then said voter went to go vote and was unable to.
I talked to the man.
And I'm sorry, it wasn't a father-son situation.
And in that situation, the individual did not attempt to cast a provisional vote. He just
They were
stormed
offered
off.
multiple times. and
So-
they left.
But they didn't cast.
So I talked to him, and he said that he worked all day long. And I talked to him on the phone, Tammy saw him, he had safety glasses on, so he worked all day long, took a half an hour off from work early to go vote, got there, and somebody he couldn't vote. So he was mad, and he didn't want to vote provisionally.
Okay.
So, next question.
Any other remarks?
What?
Do we have any other remarks?
I know, but it's not a joke, thank you.
Do we have press? Do we have a representative from the press here? Any questions? Any questions? Okay.
You're the press?
I don't have any questions.
Dale review?
Sorry?
Dale review?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All right, if there's no other comments, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned,
Thank you.